I think as I listen to all these conversations, I mean, both on stage and, in the breaks and over dinner and drinks, I think we're in this awkward young adultness stage where there's a certain maturity coming together in the industry, but we're starting to confront like what life and reality will be as we really mature and grow up. And we're going from the potentiality of an industry to one that's now has tens of billions of dollars in streaming and advanced TV advertising dollars being spent. It's now not just about the theoretical or abstract way that different technologies or processes or people could work together, but like what do the deals actually look like? How do the systems actually tie off? And one of the things I just heard talked about in the last panel I was just listening to was we're actually at a place where things matter now. I mean, Scott McKinley of TruthSet was talking about the fact that it used to be in the early days of addressability, it was just do something better than run of site, run of network. Now it actually, like, did you really get to this person and what did they do?
And then what about some of the risk factors? There's all kinds of things that we see either with privacy regulation, the walled gardens, and how they kind of hold on to their data. So what do you see in that respect?
I see a number of things. I mean, the group that is here certainly represents those philosophically bent towards the open web, towards broader competition among a number of different companies and a lot of access to audiences, data, in a broader way. I'm not saying it's the anti-Google, anti-Amazon world, but you could say that. I think there's a lot of risk about the walled gardens actually being able to be more integrated, control a fair amount of consumer data with very clear, privacy protections around them. Because a lot of people are talking about privacy and like privacy is this boogeyman and it's privacy and it's regulators. Really, the biggest issue for a lot of them isn't just privacy, because I'm a former media lawyer and I used to litigate privacy and lobby privacy. That's what's legal and not is very straightforward in how to handle it. What is challenging is making decisions on how to protect proprietary data in ways that that you can benefit or others won't be able to over-benefit. So I think that's an issue. The one issue which I think we're not talking about too much and is probably fine, because we can't control it, or what are the macroeconomic impacts that are happening out there and what will it mean? And certainly it's come up in the different panels, but there's some advantages I think in having the conversation without sort of wringing our hands over the things that we can't control, though we will have to confront some of those kinds of things.
Yeah, you raise a good point. Recently, we've seen inflation, now interest rates are rising, energy prices, war in Europe, all kinds of stuff going on out there that you're right. I don't know that we can control it that much, but how do you go into that environment? Is there any? I mean, you've been through recessions before and that kind of thing. So what would you say?
There are, yeah. I think how we operate through them does matter. I mean, I've been through the Russian currency crisis, the junk bond collapse, the dot-com bubble collapse, 9/11, the Great Recession. I think, understanding the drivers of the business, I think, one of the things, and we're seeing this right now, and it's going to have, really, really terrible consequences. The big tech companies massively overhired over the last 5 or 10 years. We had a bull market for 14 years. Capital was basically free. The interest rates, were running a couple, 1 or 2 points. And so companies got sloppy. And I think we're going to have to be tight and we're going to have to be focused. We're going to have to be realistic and pragmatic that things are going to take a while. The idea that you just go raise money and you celebrate raising money rather than celebrate solving problems for customers, those things are going to matter. Being probably very straightforward and transparent with employees to let them know what's happening will be important. Being able to make inevitable decisions today and not ignoring those things. However, fundamentally, all of the things that are being talked about here are all things that have really positive, I would say, high leverage value to the industry. And so that's I think one of the great things that will come out of the Beet Retreat here is that everyone's going to go back with some more ideas and better armed with relationships, conversations, plans that will create more value for the industry and help it grow. And then that will be very beneficial in dealing with macroeconomic issues that will be out of our control.
Yeah, and actually among those issues, I forgot to mention the pandemic, which had a big effect on consumer behavior and perhaps maybe pulling demand forward as far as people rushing into streaming and the tech companies, as you mentioned, hiring. And now it seems as if things are settling down a little bit. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or?
Yeah, I do think, I mean, I think that there's certainly some silver lining aspects of the pandemic that it did pull forward the streaming viewing behaviors. I mean, they're not as high now as they were before, but it introduced the product to a lot of people that hadn't seen it before. It really pulled forward ad-supported streaming because you realize you really needed to democratize it. It's not enough to just everyone to pay $18 or depending on the tiers of a streaming product. If you really want to make this information, this entertainment content more broadly accessible, you need to ad support it. So that was pulled forward. I think e-commerce, the number of people that went from e-commerce as an occasional behavior to a daily behavior, delivery is a daily behavior, that went up incredibly. And I'll tell you, the place we're going to really see it is will be in things like retail media. I was just listening to Christy from Albertsons, and she basically created the retail media vertical for us at her time at Target before and in the agency before that. So those kinds of things will really be accelerated because of pandemic behaviors.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here in these few minutes. I was hoping you could just finish with maybe what a prediction or what you're looking forward to. Is there anything people should be aware of or be thinking about? Is there anything you're concerned about? Anything keeping you up at night? Like, what's ahead?
I think we have a lot of focus on what's new, the streaming ad world. We talk about the addressable TV ad world. I think there's this expectation that we need the linear TV ad world to really just conform and squash itself into the way we want to do things in a more digitally oriented way. That's probably not realistic. I did hear that talked about. I think that probably the thing that is going to be most significant this next year will be, in our industry, will be how the buyers and the platforms deal with an expectation that the only way we will make this work efficiently is for all of TV advertising, all of the ads that show up on the TV, whether they come in from an internet protocol driven broadband connection or satellite or cable or broadcast or through a gaming console, that those be all able to be handled in a integrated holistic way. And that is, we're going to have to make real progress on that. And those conversations are happening here in each element, but probably not as much across the whole package. And that's the part that I think will become more important in this next year, because the macroeconomic issues will force efficiency, not just effectiveness. And for efficiency, we're going to have to find ways to do a bunch of different things more simply.